In the depths of the human mind lies a powerful force, capable of both elevating and imprisoning. What if what we've come to call fear is merely a mask, concealing unrealized potential and a yearning for growth? The mind, like a vigilant guardian, anticipates pain long before it touches us, painting pictures of failure before opportunity even arises. This ability of the mind to penetrate the shadows of the future, which may never materialize, often leads people to become prisoners of their own limitations, captives of events that exist only in their imagination. Marcus Aurelius, the wise ruler and philosopher, reminded himself daily that the source of mental anguish lies not in external circumstances, but in our interpretation of those circumstances. Fear, therefore, appears not as an insurmountable force, but as a result of accepting false beliefs that the mind repeats in the darkness of doubt. A person who acts without fear is not reckless. They are simply honest with themselves. They realize that the real prison is nothing more than the thought of losing something they believe they cannot survive without. Recall the moments in your life when fear dictated your actions, the words you dared not speak, the opportunities you missed. Remember those unexplored horizons that remained unreachable because an inner voice whispered, "Stay safe, stay small." Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, once remarked, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Reflect on these words. Perhaps the key to freeing yourself from the shackles of fear lies in reevaluating the very nature of this feeling. What if behind every fear lies an opportunity for growth, a chance to become stronger and wiser? What if, by facing your fears, you discover that they are not so scary after all? If this assertion holds true, then the individual who masters their imagination achieves a double victory over fear. First, they discern its true nature, and then they boldly enter a world where fear no longer holds sway. There is a tale of an old warrior who every morning at sunrise would awaken and, taking out his sword, silently lay it at his feet. He did this not out of need for a weapon, but to remind his mind that danger is not an enemy, but merely a test of readiness. A person who maintains composure amidst the storm does not deny the existence of danger. They accept it as an inevitable companion, but do not allow it to control them. They realize that the scariest thing is not the pain itself, but the surrender to the thought that it should be avoided at all costs. Look at modern fear, which lurks not in a nocturnal predator, but in a device lying in your pocket. Opinions, views, imagined judgment. How many people freeze in paralysis, not because of a real threat, but because of the fear that an invisible crowd will witness their weakness, mistakes, and failures. Seneca wisely noted, "He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a living man." Replace death with rejection, failure, loss, or silence, and the truth remains unchanged. How many precious moments are missed because of this invisible fear? How many sleepless nights are spent endlessly replaying scenarios of possible failures in your mind? The Stoic philosophers deeply understood that simply waiting for fear to disappear will not bring peace. True tranquility is achieved through a bold confrontation with anxiety. It is necessary to open the door to it, invite it in, and closely observe how it loses its power under an examining gaze. True courage does not need bravado. A person who possesses it will not shout about their fearlessness, does not need the admiring glances of the crowd. They simply demonstrate resilience. They oppose discipline to horror and action to indecision. Even if their heart is pounding in their chest before an important speech, they will still deliver it. Even if their mind is tormented by doubts before a leap into the unknown, they will still take it. Not because the fear has disappeared, but because they realize their ability to be stronger than the internal trepidation. Imagine a young person striving for more than they are now. But every time they take a step forward, their mind pulls them back with doubts. What if they laugh at you? What if you fail? What if this is not your path? And they remain in the shadows, content with little. Instead of strengthening their inner core, they only hone their external shell, allowing fear to sit at the head of the table of their life. However, if they are lucky, there will come a moment when the hardships of staying in this limited state become unbearable, outweighing the fear of the storm of change. And then they decide to act, not lacking in fear, but rather feeling an overflowing self-sufficiency and self-confidence. Instead of indulging in fruitless discussions about what the ideal person should be, one should simply become it. Such was the wise advice of Marcus Aurelius. This principle can be successfully applied to fear as well. You should not waste precious time creating an image of a fearless hero in your imagination. It is necessary to show this fearlessness at the very moment when fear tries to shackle the mind. The path to overcoming fear lies through small steps and insignificant disobedience to your fears. You need to learn to remain silent where there was previously a desire to justify yourself, to remain calm where confirmation of confidence was previously required. A person who behaves as if they are not afraid of anything has simply learned to remain still, while the ghosts of their mind are desperately screaming. They do not run away from their fears and do not engage in battle with them. They do not try to explain their calmness to those who are gripped by panic. Fear feeds on reaction, so deprive it of this food, deny it your attention, and it will begin to fade. Discipline becomes a deadly weapon against panic, and movement can destroy horror. Loneliness teaches the heart that no monster can survive in a room where the door remains open. After all, fear only intensifies when you turn away from it. But as soon as you look it in the face, it will immediately flee. Aristotle once noted that only those who have managed to overcome their fears will find true freedom. Freedom is not life in a world where there is no place for risk, because such a world simply does not exist. Freedom is a state of mind that no longer seeks excuses to hide from danger. The philosophy of Stoicism does not preach the pursuit of absolute fearlessness, for it understands that this is an unattainable utopia. The Stoic strives to master the art of managing fear, to be able to recognize its presence, and, despite this, continue to move forward, In moments of weakness, when the morning cold and the comfort of the bed beckon to return to the embrace of sleep, fear tempts, whispering about rest and postponing things. However, the strong in spirit find the strength to resist this temptation, meeting the challenge head-on and reminding their flesh who is the true master here. When fate puts a person to the test, whether it be insults, failures, or betrayal, fear tries to shackle them with silence. But strong individuals choose to speak or remain silent not because of a lack of feelings, but because of an awareness of the price that must be paid for the reaction. Most people pay for it cheaply, succumbing to fleeting emotions, while the Stoic pays with discipline, deliberation, and balance. There is no magic ritual that can bestow courage or a spell that could eliminate all obstacles in life's path. There is only a continuous series of choices, small but steady, that repeatedly allow you to enter the area where fear expects to break a person. And when someone asks, "Why do you behave as if you are not afraid of anything?" let them see that this is not a manifestation of pride, arrogance, or blindness. Everything is much simpler. In the depths of each person's mind, there are corners darker than the darkest night. And if you spend enough time alone exploring these inner labyrinths, the outside world will no longer be able to scare you with what you have already encountered within yourself. Ultimately, a person who exudes fearlessness manifests not in loud statements, but in imperturbable calm. This is the same unshakable support that you feel when trying to move it from its place, but you fail. This is an unquenchable fire that is not subject to slander, loss, or defeats that can crush the weaker in spirit. Therefore, you should carry your fear with dignity, like a fragile bird locked in the cage of your heart. When it trembles, you should meet it with a smile. You must demonstrate self-confidence, even if turmoil is raging inside. For the truth is that when a person subdues their mind, external threats lose their significance. In moments when the world tests strength, it is important to remember that calmness has more power than fear. You should cultivate it in yourself, allowing it to lead through life's storms. Let it serve as a reminder of inner strength in moments of doubt. One who demonstrates fearlessness becomes untouchable for any life's adversity.